Good evening, everyone. And we'll be interactive, and I don't want to go through literature first. So let's make it more interactive. And thank you, organizers, for giving the opportunity. And I can tell you one thing before we start, it really is a great experience to meet physically. And the virtual thing has really was a much difficult thing. But all of us got adapted to that, and suddenly now it's physical. The only thing I didn't like was the travel. Otherwise, you could put your shirt on and on the camera. That's it. So that was the best thing that happened in virtual. Okay, let's jump to the case. It's a simple case. It could be any case in your OPD. And 67 years old female presented to the OPD with back pain. Evaluation showed multiple bony metastasis without any fracture. And it is limited to the thoracic and L spine, and the right breast lump is there. We have a right breast lump. The CT scan, thorax and abdomen is within normal limits. So to brief it up, the true cut biopsy is there with you. It is a IDC. It's strongly ER/PR positive. The HER2/neu is negative. So if I need to summarize it, it's a postmenopausal stage 4 breast cancer, hormone positive, bone limited disease. So what are the options? So first, I think anyone wants to disagree with the intent of it is not curable, then we can have a comment on that. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next question. Which is the most appropriate treatment, hormone versus chemotherapy? So irrespective of the groups which we are, anyone wants to give chemotherapy in frontline to this patient? No? Okay. So this is that we have moved on. So now really the things happen. So we have a hormone therapy choices. What I could think of was AI alone, tamoxifen, fulvestrant. These are all single agent. Or we could use a fulvestrant with AI, or we could use a AI with a CDK4/6 inhibitor, or a fulvestrant with a CDK4/6 inhibitor. None of you are interested in palliative chemotherapy. Best supportive care alone is not an option to me also. I think it's not an option to you also, any one of you. So let's come down first to the opinion of the boards and then discuss the literature. That's how we'll do it in the three relapse thing. I think that will be more interesting. So I'll come down to the group A, which represent the government scheme people. I'm not sure where some of them I see are beyond the government schemes here, but let us see. If the group A, what I mean is the state government thing, which is a limited resource and you have to use it for a year, and or it will be Ayushman Bharat, so which has very selected modalities. So for people who are not aware of that Ayushman scheme, I can tell you what you can get in that. You can get a single agent fulvestrant, you can get a tamoxifen, and you can get a AI, and you can get a zoledronic acid. So and radiotherapy palliative. So this is the 5 things. Chemotherapy is always option. So this is what it is. As target therapy, you have only trastuzumab. So now can I have the opinion of the board A? A patient is poor, wants to get under a government scheme, but there are state governments which gives a limit to the schemes. Please.
Even though we know the ideal treatment would be AI with CDK1, for our group, that is ruled out. So now we are left with only AI alone and fulvestrant. Now I know that upfront my patient in government scheme is not going to ever take CDK inhibitor. So the next best option would be AI with fulvestrant, but if it progresses, I have nothing. So keeping this in mind, that the sequencing multiple hormone exposure in sequence would be better than using the best at present in group A.
Okay.
I would really think I'll give AI, and when they progress, I'll keep fulvestrant on, because beyond that, we don't have anything.
You won't think of anything. And I don't think, Dr. Somsekhar, you ever be so depressed because the data I'm going to show you in this spot, I think should be as happy as the group B, which I'm going to ask now. I think the data which we are going to show in the next few slides, and I think if you use it rationally and select a patient in MBCs, they should get that amount of survival even in these subset of patients. We'll come to the data in a minute. Anyone in that group wants to differ on what he's told? Okay, sir. The group B, we have the group B, which is elderly. She has diabetes mellitus, has a borderline renal compromise, but can afford anything. What would be your choice? Please, anyone? Sir, you can lead.
So let me give an opinion in the first, the government scheme you said.
Okay,
then I will come to here.
Okay.
Because, the palbociclib, there are many people are not available. That palbociclib, for those who have the
BPL
BPL card is free. So you can very
I was
well
coming to
avail
that.
BPL.
Yeah.
And Palbo is available, Rabo is not. So, but you can use palbociclib in the upfront, even the free. Okay, now coming to our patients who can afford anything. So I would, for the bone, it's a bone limited disease or limited bone disease?
Bone limited disease.
Multiple
Unlimited,
bones.
yeah. Multiple meds.
Multiple.
Multiple meds.
Because if
limited to
limited
the
bone,
bones.
that would have been, then it would have gone.
So want to phrase it up, we had, as I told you, in the lumbosacral and the thoracic, we had metastasis.
So less than 5?
It doesn't fall into oligometastatic.
Okay, so in that case, my choice, I mean, we'll talk of mine, probably if
Yeah,
everybody would
sure.
agree. We will go with the fulvestrant plus CDK4/6 inhibitor.
So you would go to fulvestrant with CDK4/6 Parsifal data, and you are very convinced with that. You would not go with the AI and a CDK4/6. Any
So-
reasons particularly why?
So now, you might have read last 2 days back, there was a 5-year OS data of Mona Lisa 3
Okay.
and OS data that those patients who are de novo metastatic breast cancer,
Mhm.
their median OS is beyond 5 years. So obviously you have a long-term data, and we also know that the bone limited disease fulvestrant works better in elderly, in the bone limited disease. And plus addition of CDK4 is going to give you a longer survival with not only DFS plus the PFS, but even the OS.
So is there consensus among board B that fulvestrant with a CDK4/6 should be the way to go ahead, and that is how it should be?
Sir, I would just add to sir's.
You can speak and take out your mask if you want. You're not coming. Yeah.
Sir, because this lady is elderly,
Mhm.
I would never want to, rush to add chemo for her. So I
That's-
would want to
Oh.
keep it as a sequence that I would want.
Chemotherapy
to
is
start
not a
with AI.
discussion.
Yes, I would want to start with AI plus CDK4/6 and
Okay.
fulvestrant for the second line.
Okay.
For her, because she is not very fit. So we cannot extrapolate Mona Lisa 3 data directly to my patient here.
So
Because-
the consensus which I get from the affordable class would be that you would choose a CDK4/6 inhibitor. The partner is something which you are really having a divergence of opinion. And I will come down to sir when I come to the data trial of that comparison, and let me ask his opinion on how a patient would choose. Let's come to C first, and then we'll jump back on this discussion. But this discussion is important. Frontline is the most important. Group C is something that has fit affording and is probably lacking social support. So someone who cannot come to your OPDs is not able to have a son and daughter, both are outside the place. What would be your choice?
Sir, a CDK4/6 inhibitor. Plus, if she's willing to come for fulvestrant the first month, 3 doses, fulvestrant.
So your choice also as a group is fulvestrant as
If-
the partner.
as a partner, fulvestrant, if they can come for the first month at least thrice, or if she's not able to come, then AI. So CDK4/6 preferably.
So as I
ribociclib.
get to know the thing I'm imbibing slowly is that we are moving from a AI CDK4/6 to a fulvestrant CDK4/6. Is it that what we are getting? That patient, if cannot come for a fulvestrant, then only I'll go for AI. That's what you are telling me.
Yes.
Okay. Joydeep, your take on that, because you may not, I agree with sir that in a BPL, you have the palbociclib free, and that's a done thing. We have been using it for 2-3 years now or more since it was launched. Leave that part. Do you agree to that part, that with the Parsifal, that did conclude that we should be changing? Point number one. And what would be your thought process to that trial?
Definitely Parsifal was a non-inferiority study.
Okay.
But my take on that, on the Parsifal thing, is that if we use the Parsifal and use fulvestrant in first line, now if we have to have a level 1 evidence of using AI in the second line, that is not there that much.
Okay.
But if we use AI plus CDK in the first line, we have the data of fulvestrant. But yes, definitely fulvestrant versus AI, we have a similar data from the previous trials. So as I was suggesting that I do agree that you might be combining fulvestrant with a CDK in an affording patient, but I would keep as AI plus CDK as my first line.
First choice. Okay, I will keep, my main discussion based on that and also on the mutation which develops and how do we plan the second line, even the affording. So this data, all of us know, I'm going to skip that if you choose across trials, the hazards is nearly the same for PFS. Really, there's nothing to choose one against another. The only thing is, do they improve the survival except for palbociclib? I think the others have now the data, and the palbociclib data also looks impressive, although the OS is not reached. All of us, I'm not going to discuss again, all of us are quite accomplished doctors now, and we know that we are going to choose by this. Coming to the C group, which was for the, B group, which was for the comorbidity. Sir, would any comorbidity exclude any CDK4/6 for you? Anything that you feel that one will be over another?
So we all know that, the GI toxicities are with abemaciclib. So anybody having the, ulcerative colitis or something, then should avoid the abemaciclib. Those who have
So
cardiac
is it
comorbidity,
contraindicated or you should be using with caution?
avoid. You
Avoid.
have better other drugs, so why to use?
Okay, so why, if I have alternatives, why
And
not?
if you have some cardiac issues and there are multiple other drugs which are being used, so then you may not like to use the ribociclib.
For the
and liver
ribociclib, can I
issues.
ask you something, sir? Except for the QTC prolongation, does it bother you anything that if a patient has a known CAD, would you avoid that if a echo is still okay, good enough?
Ecosprin is fine, but if suppose there are other drugs where QTC is going to get prolonged, then probably
So,
we may
so,
have to
so
switch.
basic point is cardiac comorbidity should not be the thing. It should be QTC prolongation, which should be very, very careful looked into in a ribo. That's what it's coming to.
That's
Okay. So if you look at it, neutropenia is common to 3. QTC is something that should not be put together with the cardiac toxicity. Hepatotoxicity is something which we miss many times. And I think ribo and abema is notorious for these things. Palbo, if I choose across without any disclaimer that I'm not speaking for anyone here, I think the palbo looks little safer to us because we have used it for long, except for the borderline neutropenia, it doesn't bother us much. Abema, first 2 months, if you can handle it, then it becomes an easy drug to use. Ribo, I have used not quite a bit, but somehow I've used something and I found it little bit some issues, but people have used it, ribo, more than me, have found it very comfortable. So if I look at the across, I think that is how you choose your patients. Anyone in the panel across boards want to speak anything on this? No? Then I'll come to the main thing. And this is where Dr. Somsekhar, I was telling you, if someone leave the palbociclib under the BPL, look at this Falcon trial, anastrozole plus a fulvestrant. And what I went to see is look at the PFS. I was looking at the PFS for the CDK4/6, and if you look at the PFS around 0.6, 0.65, and here it sits around 0.6 with the Falcon, with the fulvestrant and anastrozole thing. So my point is only fulvestrant, if given the right dose in a bone limited disease, you do get this curve separating out, but if there's a visceral disease, the whole thing goes away. So I think that is what sir told in this, but I have something in that regard. But for an unaffordable, if palbo is not there for some reasons, I think in a government scheme, fulvestrant first line could be a good option in a bone limited. But if it's visceral, I would be more comfortable AI because I can sequence it better. Is it okay, Group A, if we can conclude that part of this in this way? And the second point why I'm looking at is this anastrozole and fulvestrant. And both these drugs are available even in Ayushman scheme. And this, if you look at it, look at the last part of it. 52 months OS data. Impressive, touching 5 years. And that is with the combo. So in a bone limited disease, I think our thought process could be changing and we still can get away with a good survival in most of the patients. So, and look at this part also. If there is no previous endocrine therapy upfront, and if you can look into the last one, which is there, and the forest plot and the p-value for interaction is the most significant here. It is 0.09, around that point. And this looks very much good that the combination does help. Now, sir, question to sir. Sir, if I have this data for you, because it came to you and the Group C can answer that, I have the Parsifal, and all of you two spoke that a palbo with a fulvestrant, this is a phase 2 data, first of all. And this is the best data you can pull out for a upfront fulvestrant CDK4/6 versus a AI CDK4/6. And the best thing that happens is it is non-inferior. It is not superior. It is non-inferior. Numerically, it was inferior, but statistically it was non-inferior in terms. My second point is not that, sir. I agree both are okay. But which lady in the best of her minds is going to allow her to be pricked once a month and 3 times in the first month and come to the doctor every month and with the same benefit? If that is explained, group B first, what do you think out of 10 patients, if you tell this data and tell that you're going to benefit the same way and you are going to be pricked every month, here you do not have to get pricked. What is your say to this part? Because as I look to it, you have to be taking injections for 30 months. It's a quite a bit of things, and fulvestrant still 250 comes. I am going to give 500 each, but I'm going to give 1 each. Sir, your counter to that.
If you are in the palbociclib group, then you will show this trial. If I am using ribociclib group, I will use the Mona Lisa trial.
So Mona Lisa is a subgroup of the whole data.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
their
And this is
PFS,
a,
their-
okay.
look at the PFS,
Okay.
look at the PFS as well as OS. You just showed the Mona Lisa 3 PFS is 33 months. Okay. Mona Lisa 3. And there is an OS data. There is no OS data with the Falcon still available. Remember,
No,
Falcon
no,
has
I'm not talking
produced
Falcon.
OS.
I'm
No, no,
talking,
I'm coming back.
Yeah.
So this is a combination with the Palbo.
okay.
So if you use ribo along with the as with the fulvestrant, as it is used in the Mona Lisa 3, in the de novo metastatic, like your patient, what she has an upfront,
Uh-huh.
median PFA, median OS has not yet reached. The other OS, the other group, it is 51.8. So it is same. But bone only, and not only bone only, de novo.
Okay.
I'm saying that de novo is PFS not reached. So obviously the OS is better with the ribo plus the fulvestrant.
Group
works.
C, any changes, and
No, sir.
how do you think about it? If you speak to the
If my,
patient,
if my backbone of CDK4/6 is ribo, I prefer fulvestrant. Only if it is maybe not ribo based.
any level 1 evidence on this, any recommendation on this to choose a partner with a CDK4/6 inhibitor?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay. So any group A, anyone, you may be in the government, but you have the maximum say actually, because the majority patient fall into your category. What do you feel on this part? Because they have a point that with the Mona Lisa 7 being put up in ESMO, then this was there. But do we take the conclusions of the trial like that? That if I use a ribo, it has to be fulvestrant. If I use a palbo, it has to be AI.
So Taran, it is not the black and white.
I
You
understand.
don't put it like
Sir,
that.
sir, I'm putting
No, no,
forward.
I mean,
and-
that's not the way. I mean, the trial, if you can show Parsifal,
Okay.
show the next trial to show also
Okay.
that.
No, sir, I'm going to conclude in a positive way.
I
I'm
know,
just
I
putting
know.
forward the controversy, sir. And all of us are on the same page. And one more thing, sir. If I look at this, sir, this is a beautiful data. It is there across trials now. And if you look at the ESR1, the mutations are much more to the tune of around 50%. If the patient goes beyond 6 months of a hormone therapy. And all of us in the first line using a CDK4/6 would have this ESR mutation, majority of patients who are progressing. Because we are very unlikely anyone will progress within 6 months with the combination. That all of us agree. Sir, do you think in the ESR mutations, the AI will be more helpful to us without the newer drugs of ESR inhibitors not available, or a fulvestrant second line will be more useful? Because if you sequence it, what do you think of these data and the Parsifal and the Mona Lisa? Now, what do you think, sir?
We know that in ESR mutation, fulvestrant works better
Yeah.
because, ultimately, see, ESR is estrogen receptor.
Yeah.
So all the other drugs like tamoxifen and the AIs will have an ESR mutations. While the fulvestrant is working at the receptor and
Yeah. Yeah. So
killing the receptor. So
so my-
obviously,
yeah, my point was, if you cross 6 months and look at the difference, how the mutations happen. The mutations just triples itself if the patient is on at least 6 months on AI. And you are more likely to get a ESR mutation if you have a prolonged duration of AI. So my point was both are acceptable options with the Parsifal, but it's a phase 2. We have always criticized phase 2. But I feel sir has a point and Group C has a point that the Mona Lisa is looking at it at a different way. The trial had this fulvestrant. I'm looking very positive. For me, will I change practice? I'm not sure, but yes, it is an option to all of us. That's what I would end this part with. But keep in mind this, because very few of us follow religiously NGS as we do with a lung cancer patient. So next time you have a progression of disease in the breast and they afford quite a bit more than lung cancers, do this. Probably it will change the way we look at it. And
So,
that,
sir,
and the Yeah, please, please, please. I'll complete this and if we look at the mutation, it is more in the metastatic side than in the primary side. So this is something significant to this mutation that I think will become important as we are using more of hormone therapy. Please.
So like PIK3, we are not doing ESR at baseline, ESR1 at baseline.
Agreed. But the chances of developing this mutation, you're not getting my point, is much more after 6 months of a AI. So if you're using a first line AI plus a CDK4/6, you're getting a mutation of the ESR1 is higher. You are unlikely to relapse within the first 6 months. My point was that. I'm not telling that any way you suggested was at all wrong. And for you, the social support not being there, I would always promote a AI plus CDK4/6. I can go with the group B with that part. If I have to do the tumor board, patient cannot come, does not have the son or daughter to bring him, I'll be more comfortable. Do you agree to that part, sir? Yes, I think that is what the tumor boards, that's why it was divided. Okay. So now we know this. The patient took letrozole. They came to Dr. Shomsekhar and he prescribed letrozole. And that is what his choice was. Fulvestrant was his choice or letrozole. Progress with 3 lung deposits. Increase in the bone metastasis. Again, no fractures or bones on bone scan and CT scan. So investigations, I'll skip this because of the lack of time. PET versus CT debate can go on and we'll never reach any conclusion on that. And I just wanted at this point, group B, sir, NGS for your patients, for all on progression or anything more you want. Please, anyone.
I mean, not for all patient NGS, but PI3 kinase, yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
so you look at the specific mutation of the PIK3, you wanted to pick up that. And you would also like to know the exon where it is being mutated. A. Any role of you even doing a mutation?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay, C.
So it is behaving like a typical hormone receptor, HR positive metastatic disease, but I still will like to do a fresh biopsy if that lung lesion is quite accessible.
It is same. Same. For the discussion's sake, I don't want to go into
And no
biopsy of the
NGS,
meta.
just
It is same. ER, PR positive, HER2 negative.
No NGS, PIK3 at baseline.
PIK3 is mutated. We have done it on the baselines thing which was there. And I think it's a truncal mutation. You can pick it up and use it later also. It's nothing new that is going to develop. Yeah. So now, options. For A, the patient has progressed on letrozole. What would be your choice, group A, for a government scheme?
Second line fulvestrant.
Second line fulvestrant. I think all of us agree to that. And if not, cannot come, then tamoxifen. That would be how it is. I'll come to B at the last, without social support. And
Without social
you chose fulvestrant now.
Yeah.
So you have to go with your second choice as per fulvestrant with the CDK4/6.
So
The
one more
CD
option.
Yeah, please.
One more option, sir, here. Maybe alpelisib quite difficult to handle.
Okay.
So everolimus plus exemestane would be another option I might have.
Everolimus plus exemestane. You want to use the
Yes.
Bolero study.
Yes.
Okay. So that is the option here. So you are probably going to choose that.
Yes.
Okay. So with a PIK3, you have committed to use a Bolero type of regimen.
With
Very
the PIK3, I would be much more comfortable with alpelisib, but if the patient is staying alone, she is not able to monitor her sugars.
Okay.
That's quite difficult.
Fine. Fair enough. Fair enough. Sir. Now we have a diabetic patient, comorbid, affordable for anything. HbA1c is around 7.8.
So we will start with fulvestrant, but aggressively monitor the glucose.
Sir, you have taken the fulvestrant already.
No. This lady has received.
No, you have taken the fulvestrant. How will sequence? I'll come to that part. I understand. If you have
Okay.
taken the fulvestrant.
If somebody has taken fulvestrant, then I will go with the. I mean, there is no data of Bolero as such after fulvestrant, but I will go with the Bolero. type.
You will go with the Bolero. Even with a PIK3 positive, the Bolero.
Because the drug is the exemestane. That's why.
Okay, the drug is the exemestane, that's why. Anyone wants to comment on the data on this part of it? I'm going to skip this. All of us know this. This is 2-3 trials which are pertinent to this setting. The BYLieve cohort B, which is the use of alpelisib and letrozole post fulvestrant. And the A was alpelisib fulvestrant post AI and CDK. The data I'm going to just speak and then come to the questions. Basically what it tells that you use it, you will still get a decent clinical benefit. The PFS is around 6 to 7 months with either way. So again, it's a phase 2 data. So how do we take conclusions out of it? Can we replace and take away fulvestrant into the first line? I'm not sure. And this is the cohort A data. This is what the what I want to impress is the SOLAR data, which has shown the maximum PFS, but I'll come to the most interesting part is this part. If you look at the SOLAR study and subset analysis with prior CDK4/6 without, the benefit, although the numbers were small, looks similar or at least greater. The hazards is much superior in the CDK4/6 prior use with the PIK3 mutation. This is the Bolero data, which both of you spoke, but this data is very interesting, sir. If you look at the data for Bolero and look at the PIK3 mutated, the median PFS is approximately 2.7 months. This is the best I could pull out with the Bolero with a PIK3. So question is, would you go for alpelisib and try to do it? If not possible and patient cannot tolerate it, then only go through a Bolero type data? Or would you still with this data think that I will go for a Bolero way? Group C first.
So always alpelisib first. If not possible, then exemestane.
Okay, so now
always.
shifting little bit the things to the left. Group B, sir. Because see, I think all of us are learning, and this is something if you pick up and look at the subset, although it is that the samples, the Bolero happened much before the PIK3 thing came in, and they have looked into data much later. Indu, anything?
Yeah, so alpelisib we should give, but of course she's a diabetic and
Okay.
this HbA1c is high, so she will require monitoring. So, but still I would like to use it with close monitoring.
Sir, if I can ask you with the experience alpelisib, with a patient who's around borderline high HbA1c, how has been the experience with alpelisib?
See, I start with 250 milligram, not 300. You
Okay.
know, rather than going down,
So out of
I will
10
try to scale up.
Out of 10, how many patients with an HbA1c borderline up do tolerate alpelisib? For
No, for everybody, I start with 250. I
So-
have burned my fingers.
So
to
how many
300.
now
No,
with this
nobody,
dose?
nobody has gone up, either
Okay.
250 or 200.
So you feel that with the diabetics, you should be very, very skeptical. Otherwise, they go haywire with the sugars. And for the Bolero, what has been experience with Bolero on the sugar and the lipid profiles?
Sir, everolimus I start at 5. I'm not starting with 10.
Okay.
So I'm comfortable with 5 for a month. Then I escalate to 10.
Okay. Group A, any experience apart from the government scheme? Leave the government scheme. Any experience with the everolimus, Bolero? Because I found erratic triglycerides and these lipids going haywire, and when sugars with little very not good levels, and even the pneumonia part is very tricky. If you are on a holiday and the patient get pneumonia, the ICU guy will intubate the patient rather than give you a steroid. So I think those are issues. And with the PIK3 data, so do you think it will affect your practice, Group B, sir?
So this is a retrospective,
Yeah.
subgroup analysis. Will have some issues, with the
Okay.
Bolero 2. So what is more important, Bolero 2, what he said, the 5 milligram.
Mhm.
See, 5 milligram and 10 milligram doses of everolimus response is same,
Mhm.
provided 5 milligram is given consistently without
Mhm.
too much of drops.
Okay.
That is more important.
So even you have data for fulvestrant with or without everolimus. So data of exemestane is there, even for fulvestrant is also there. So that is something also I wanted the things to pick up. So as I can conclude this part of the second part, in a poor, because of the lack of choices, people would not be doing any mutation because they cannot afford any drug which is going to come out of it. The mutation that all people are going to look at is the PIK3. The ESR1 is something I think all of us will start looking into when the drugs do come in. And even if you're going to choose AI versus fulvestrant, probably people are going to look at it. That's how my feeling is. But except for the group 1, the group 2 and 3 will probably go for the other agent and alpelisib. If they do not tolerate, will go into the Bolero. But there is a good opinion that's coming up. The Bolero 2 could be also tried with a lower dose of everolimus. But important is the data, which I feel is significant, and the PIK3 does confer a poor prognosis. That all of us have to remember. So now the last, and we have 5 minutes. I think we'll do well within the time. This lady took fulvestrant, alpelisib, progressed within 4 months, was a borderline progression, but developed very high blood sugars. No visceral crisis. There were few lung deposits more. So treatment options. A. Let me start with C first. Because
So maybe exemestane or tamoxifen.
exemestane or tamoxifen is your option now,
Yes.
because you have
I don't want to
exhausted.
start chemotherapy
Okay,
for her.
you have exhausted CDK4/6, you have exhausted the alpelisib, and also both the frontline agents.
Yes.
Sir? Indu, anything?
So if there is no crisis yet,
Yeah, no crisis.
then one can go with either. So this standard practice has been give 3 lines of hormone therapy and then move to chemotherapy. So,
Okay.
if she is tolerating still, then I can go with the exemestane if it has not been used, or the tamoxifen.
If you have not used Bolero, can we use a Bolero now?
We can use.
We can
but
use a-
not after alpelisib. If somebody has already received alpelisib, Bolero, I mean, it's same group, mTOR group, it
Okay.
is not going to work. So you use single agent.
So use a single
Single
agent.
agent.
And anyway, it's a palliative intent.
It's a fact.
At this point, tamoxifen for us.
No chemo?
We'll keep the chemo for the later.
Again
ones.
for the
This
later
patient
one.
is going to survive long.
Okay. So this is the Pearl study and NeoPearl. Lot of you would know this study, but this is a very good study, gives some insight. The NeoPearl was a phase 2 and then came the phase 3. It has come from the Korean part of it. And if you look at it, it was exemestane and Palbo versus capecitabine in patients who had failed at least at least one line of therapy, chemotherapy, or is fulvestrant and palbociclib versus capecitabine. The NeoPearl was superior to the CDK4/6 arm. I'll tell you how the difference between phase 2 and phase 3 comes. This trial is a classical example of it. And look at the data, how it comes through. If you look at it numerically, the PFS is superior to the capecitabine arm. And this was a phase 3 randomized study. And this tells you two things. It did not meet its statistical significance, although numerically it is superior. So it tells you that in patients who have failed 1 or 2 lines, even chemotherapy is a very valid option. So first A, then B, then C, then audience because we have 4 minutes. What is your take on this? Should we take it that we should not be deferring a chemotherapy to very late because there are toxicities with it? Patients would not then do it well with it, may not tolerate it. With now data is coming in, now you have a level 1 evidence. We can criticize all the evidence what we want, but is it that we should be pushing at least chemotherapy, which is still very effective, to the 3rd line at least, when you failed multiple, 2 good line of hormone therapy, and
Sure, I
especially for a patient who has progressed within 4 months of the 2nd line?
So I think for our group, the most rational way for chemotherapy would be somebody with a progression with a lot of visceral disease or a very symptomatic progress. It's just 1 or 2 nodules. We can just change the hormone line just to think
What has been your
conservatively.
response, to be fair to the patient? What has been response to single agent tamoxifen 3rd line?
The response definitely will be much less, but we are not losing out on the option of capecitabine after the patient.
Don't you ever fear that you will be losing out on a rapid progressions and never able to give a chemotherapy to the
Yes,
patient?
that is one.
And keep tamoxifen to the 4th line? Does it change anything to the patient?
But after chemotherapy, we do not know how much tamoxifen will work. That's
Any-
the only concern.
Any disagreement on the group A? Okay, yeah, please.
Sir, I think chemotherapy can be used at the juncture. So
Okay.
if patient is fit enough, I think chemo is an option.
Sir, group B, what do you think with this data now evolving? Would it be, because there's no right answer, wrong answer. That I want to tell very clearly. All of you are right. Because this did not meet its significance. So with this, does it mean that I could also go for at least the early progressions, like 4 months, chemo, and then consolidate and then probably give the hormone therapy? Is it a more valid approach?
I think chemotherapy is an acceptable option at this point of time.
Any difference with the social support part?
Sir, I'll stick to tamoxifen.
You will stick to
Yeah,
tamoxifen
stick
here?
to tamoxifen. Chemo, if I want to give, then I'll choose between weekly agents or 2 weekly agents of paclitaxel. I'll taper that. I'll tailor my treatment according to that.
Capecitabine at 1500 milligram per meter squared, starting at a low dose, escalating like the approach sir told. Is it that toxic to you in your practice?
Not very toxic, but maybe as the tumor board A has told, that after capecitabine, tamoxifen, PFS3, PFS4, we don't have much data. Tamoxifen might add 3 months more. Capecitabine might add 6 months more.
How I look at this data is that chemotherapy, yeah, please.
Sorry, sir. I have some, reservation regarding this Pearl trial.
Yeah.
See, Pearl trial is the trial which used the chemotherapy first time. It is like you can see over there.
Yeah.
They have not received any chemotherapy upfront.
So less than, more than 1. Yeah. At least 1 line. At least 1 line. It was less than equal to 1. So most of the patients did receive 1 line. They did not receive more than 1. They may not have received also. That's
Yeah,
how the
so-
Pearl is.
So, maybe, this is a very first thing is not very big trial,
Sir.
around 200 patients. So why I'm the choice of the drug,
Sir.
that is an important one. If
Sir.
suppose they have not received any chemo, the choice capecitabine is not the upfront. We use all taxanes,
Sir.
right? Taxane is first.
Why they
So
use it?
maybe, that's where there might have been some issue.
Why they've
with
used it? Probably they all of us use taxanes. The patient, a lot of it will use taxanes in the frontline chemo. That's where capecitabine came in. That's my take on it. So anyone in the audience want to ask, because we are just 1 minute off? Anything? No? Okay. So this is something to tell you that we have a next monarch, which is a Abima plus tamoxifen. Just tell you that this field is getting wider. Anyone interested can read through. I'll just come to the last part of how I feel the things could be. Poorly endocrine sensitive, moderate and high endocrine sensitive. Definitely a hormone agent, maybe fulvestrant, maybe AI, which we had a lot of discussion, plus a CDK4/6. This looks the most appropriate. If there is a PIK3 mutation, then most of the consensus are more towards adding a PIK3 inhibitor. And is alpelisib the best one? We don't know. Maybe in the future we'll get better ones. And keeping the PIK3 mutation positive, the Bolero to the third line. And chemotherapy can be put in at any point of time. Even this is what it is shown here. If you have PIK3, then the violet things come up. You probably are pushing for a PIK3 inhibitor rather than a second line of your drugs of any other choice. So I think with that, if there are any other no points there, I thank the organizers, thank every one of you. And I think if there's expert, yeah, Dr. Sanjay is there. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Sir, you're muted.
Hi.
Hi, sir.
And I must thank Purvish and Icon Group to have given me this opportunity. Yes, I wanted to come myself over there, but there are some exigencies you can't avoid, and unfortunately, I had to be here. But nonetheless, I don't think in this case scenario an expert is necessary, because really, TP, you made everybody an expert, and basically everything has been covered. In nutshell, I can tell you one thing, that I get both sides of patients at what group A and group B, as well as group C. The discussion with group A said that yes, initially their patient can't afford. I would do what Somcheckar and team did it, they suggested it. And for B, I would agree with Mehboob that yes, in our group of patients, we will use a CDK4. But my choice for CDK4 is always ribociclib, for only reason that we have enough data on OS on ribociclib. And more importantly, we talk about QSQT and all. I'm not a cardiologist, but my patient is a good, less QSQT, even borderline QSQT I have used. Only go on reducing the dose, which is easier to reduce rather than in Palbo, you reduce the dosage. Here, instead of 2 tablets, you eat 3 tablets, you eat 1 tablet or a 2 tablet. So that is what it is. So first line for me, as with CDK4, I use Ribo plus AI. And in case they progress, I add fulvestrant to it. And if they have still further progression, we do PIK3 and then use, alpelisib. That patient tolerate, and I slightly disagree with Mehboob that you should stick to 250. I would have used even up to 300, and patients have been tolerating. Of course, monitored by my medical oncology colleague. I don't do all that, but yes, they have received that. And for poor patients, I would stick to the second line Bolero, or as third line mentioned as that tamoxifen plus the thing. So what I think that TP, you have summed up everything. I need not be an expert. But yes, that is for certain that in ER positive patients or PR positive patients, we should not give up just because they are advanced. Yes, in very, very strong fractured patient, you surgically intervene. If there is a very severe pain or there is a sign of a neurological deficit, you may decompression the spine or radiate them locally. But otherwise, the treatment that you discuss is absolutely flawless, and I totally agree with what you have said. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.